going, everyone? It's the music reviewer here, and yeah, I'm recording two parts of the music reviewer podcast today. Tonight, the last one I'm recording is the best and worst track of the week, week of June 20th. And if you're new to best and worst track of the week, you probably are. It's the second week I'm doing this. And it's just something new I'm doing on the podcast where I just talk about the new songs that enter the Billboard Hot 100. Um, and I'll review all of them, give them a letter grade, and I'll pick two of them, one being the best, one being the worst. That's all it is. Nothing much to it. Um, and yeah, it's just something for me to do on this podcast to make it a little bit more fun. I thought I'm not having a good time, but just so I can talk about some pop music I might not be able to talk about on the album review side, and maybe I can draw a larger audience too, doing something like this. So yeah, and I'll just let everyone know too. My last album review was over the latest Heinz album. Heinz being the indie rock band from Spain. That one just dropped. If you want to take a listen to it, go ahead and check that one out. That was the last episode that just dropped right now. So yeah, let's get to this. First track that came in this week was "Worldwide Beautiful" by Kane Brown. Kane Brown being a country artist that I think made it onto the scene a few years ago. Um, he's kind of like a Nashville sweetheart, kind of. He is starting to gain traction in the country scene. Kane Brown is kind of like on the more side of boyfriend country, which I learned recently from a YouTube channel I was watching. It's kind of like the protege of bro country. Now, yeah, in this song right here, it's kind of is awfully similar at the beginning to a Sam Hunt song. He has like this talking verse thing going on. It's down tempo. There's a nice crisp sound to the drums in the production. A little bit of a lazy writing in the lyrics. The verse is comprised of clean guitar, sound accompaniment, not much to it. There's like this chant gang vocal build up towards the end of the track, um, and like this forced emotion deal going on. I give it a C. Um, yeah, I know this song does have a little bit of a undertone to it, possibly racial, possibly not. If you don't know, Kane Brown is part African American, but I've heard some criticism about the song being illy timed with some of the lyrical content. I'll just say that. Um, and we'll go to the next song. This list is not as long as last week, so this episode's not going to be nearly as long, but there is obviously there's some country in here. Which the next one is "Hard Days" by Brantley Gilbert. Brantley Gilbert being a country star as well. He's kind of fell off. He had this one hit song almost probably 10 years ago now, called "Bottoms Up." It was like this bro country uh, rock anthem, rock country anthem. And I'll just cut and dry with this. Brantley Gilbert is not the most impressive artist. He's very uh, he appeals to the aesthetic of being very rugged. Um, like I'm a countryman, and I drink beer, and you know, and I believe in the Second Amendment. I don't know, just typical shit like that. Um, Uh, I don't know if he's like that in real life, but I bet he probably making money he might be. But anyways, he is not the most impressive vocalist either, and that being the Achilles heel of this song. Vocal performance is dime a dozen. I don't really know how he's marketable. Maybe he's really good looking. It has this acoustic guitar intro in the beginning of the song. It's panned on both sides with this guitar accompaniment type deal. It's also down tempo as well. It's a pretty formulaic song. Sounds like it was written for the Jonas Brothers, honestly. Not Brantley Gilbert. So this is like a C minus C territory. Um, and the next one is another country track from Ashley McBride. I think that's her name. She's the song is called One Night Standards. It's wordplay for one night stands. Ashley McBryde, being a up and coming country artist, but not of typical. Um, I guess not of a typical occurrence. She's not this young blonde haired darling. She's kind of like this middle aged woman that's been probably doing this for a while. And she's got some traction behind her. There's definitely some Nashville power pushing her. And I think this might be her first song on the Hot 100. Um, and this is kind of like a toss up. This song could either be really big for her, or it could be easily be forgotten. Country music being this genre that is driven on these looks. They want to see someone young and sexy up there a lot of the times with country music, which that's a pretty superficial take, but it's pretty true. Um, Now, this song. Let's just get to the song. So this song, it doesn't really do her any justice. I think she has way better music than this, from what I've heard. It's just a song trying to glamorize one night stands or elaborate on the idea. It romanticizes a one night stand. Um, and it has a nice big sound in the production. The instrumentals sound good. That kind of is what saves the song. But the vocals sound awfully similar to, I don't know, an artist like Sugarland, another country artist, or something of that nature. I wouldn't really, if I didn't know who the artist was, I wouldn't really think to look it up or assume this is this up and coming artist that needs to gain traction. It's passable, slightly formulaic and derivative, very little payoff. Of course, doesn't really hit that much for me. This is like a C minus two. Um, Next song is not country. It is Black Eyed Peas, Mamacita featuring Ozuna. And there's another female artist on here. She's not too important. Just know that she is basically filling the role of Fergie now that Fergie's not on the Black Eyed Peas. Um, so this song it might as well be an Ozuna song. Um, that's what the Black Eyed Peas are doing now. They're just basically making reggaeton. They're just trying to piggyback on that wave right now. Ozuna's on the verse, and I guess I really only talked about Bad Bunny really in the reggaeton genre, but I enjoy Ozuna as well. He's got a distinct little voice there, and he has catchy stuff. But he's on this track. It's a simple hook, slightly uninspired. Um, it has this female vocal feature that sounds a lot like Fergie. I thought it was Fergie at first, but it's not. Um, the Black Eyed Peas parts are pretty standard rap verses. They don't really make the song any better. Honestly, it's honestly a little cringe. Um, how they're trying to force this sound to work. It's a little bit forgettable of a track. I don't see this really becoming a summer banger or anything. This is a C, uh, rated a C. Okay, and the next two songs are going to be our best and worst track of the week. I'm going to start with the worst because it is. I just want to leave on a positive note. This is the worst track of the week is "Deep End Freestyle" by Sleepy Hollow. This song is of TikTok fame. I know it's been viral, being used on a lot of these videos on TikTok. It heavily relies on a sample. Literally, this is all this song is a sample just being replayed over and over again over a drum track, and a pretty skeletal one at that. The production is very basic. It doesn't really do any favors for the rapper, which, if I'm being honest here, this rap verse isn't very good. Technically, it's a freestyle, and it's just this guy rapping over this sample and pretty boring drum track with nothing else there. This song is literally just here because of that sample, and it got popular, and it's being used on TikTok videos by 12-year-olds. Yeah, this song is the worst track of the week. I really struggle to call this a full thought out song. It's really just some really boring rapping over a really repetitive idea. So now that that's out of the way, we'll get over to the best track of the week. Outside of America by Meek Mill. Meek Mill being the, I think, Philadelphia rapper, had a beef with Drake and got big off of it a few years ago. He's still rapping. This is a pretty powerful song. It's over a trap beat. Well, it starts off differently, but there's a trap beat drop in the middle of the verse that Meek Mill's doing. His flow's good. It has this audible bass guitar part to add to the intensity of the track. It makes the song more interesting and energetic. It has like this angry and somber tone to it. It's talking about what social issues going on right now with Black Lives Matter, and obviously Meek Mill being African American male, he probably knows a little bit about that. Has a nice message in the song. Talks about racial inequality, all that business. I give this a B. It's probably really the most substantive. I think that's a word. Has This track has the most substance of anything in this batch of songs this week. Probably the only thing I feel like is worth listening to again. So yeah, we'll see what next week brings. Like I said, not nearly as much as last week, so kind of good on since I'm starting this series out. So if you made it today, thanks for listening. I'm Music Reviewer, and we'll see you later.